So many of you know that on the first day that we are out of the dead period, we can have official visits. We can have guys making plans to go to campuses and check them out and go through camps and all the rest. We have Georgia announcing the commitment to transfer of not one, but two 5-star prospects. Darian Kendrick, who transfers from Clemson to Georgia, and Eric Gilbert, who transfers from LSU to Georgia. You'll know Eric Gilbert is not just a tight end. He is the highest rated tight end in the rankings era. He's also the only tight end to win National Gatorade Player of the Year. Man had 1,800 yards receiving in one season as a tight end. He is every bit of 6'5", 253 pounds. Darian Kendrick goes to Clemson as a wide receiver. They flip him to corner, and he becomes a first-team all-conference performer out there. And now you have that guy to replace Eric Stokes. But you also get into a Georgia program and a Georgia team that is loaded for elephant. Forget bear. All right. 2020, Georgia had 16 5-stars on the roster. Okay. 5-star quarterback JT Daniels ends up being the starter by the end of the season. 5-star running back Zamir White comes back. 5-star tight end Darnell Washington was lining up on the numbers against Cincinnati. And you know what kind of man that is at 6'7", 260 when you can line him up on the numbers because he's that athletic. Now you can put Darnell Washington and Eric Gilbert on either side of the field and dare your 5'10", 5'9" cornerback to try to shut them down. You can't line a linebacker up out of there because he ain't got those sort of cover skills. What I'm telling you is, if Georgia does not win the SEC championship and play for a national title, let alone win a national title, right? It's a complete bust for Georgia this year. And you can have a really good discussion about whether or not Kirby Smart is the guy to try to get this done. Because again, I'm telling you, 2020, 16 5-stars. You also have 51 4-stars, which means that 67 of the 85 scholarship players on your roster last year are blue chips. And all you had to show for it was a Peach Bowl where you didn't even play for the SEC title. This year, you have an Alabama team that is as down as it's ever going to be with Nick Saban as head coach. They have a new quarterback. They have a new offensive coordinator. They have to reload at wide receiver. They have to reload at running back, and they have to do something else on the offensive line. Now, the defense is going to be a little bit nastier than last year. Could be filthy, depending on how good Pete Golden ends up being with them. But you're still going to have your best chance to have an SEC East team win the title that you've had basically 5 years. And the last time that Georgia was anything like this good, they played for a national title, and they had Alabama on the road before Tua Tagovailoa and Devontae Smith said, nah, take this L. Add into this what they have on the roster to begin with. So you can go Keely Ringo, who was one of my favorite 5-stars in 2020, who looks like an outside linebacker playing corner on one side. You have Nyland Green on the other side. You can have Nolan Smith as your edge guy, Jalen Carter as your dominant nose. And then offensively, to add to JT Daniels, Zamir White, Darnell Washington, and Eric Gilbert, you can also add in there Kenny McIntosh, Kendall Milton. You're going to be great on the offensive line. You added Amarius Mims. I don't know if he's good enough to play right away, but you have that sort of depth. You have Smile Munden. You have, oh my God, you have dudes on that defense. And then you add Darian Kendrick to this? What are we talking about with Georgia if we're not talking about a national championship? But are they going to be the number one team in the country coming out? Probably not. And a lot of this has to do not with just how we are evaluating them presently, but how we have to evaluate Georgia over the last, quite literally, 30, 40 years. Because it has been 40 years since Georgia has won a national title. They hired Kirby Smart to do just that. Because what they're getting right now, they got out of Mark Richt. Got off of Mark Richt. You brought Kirby in because he comes from Alabama. He's one of the most vaunted, if not the most vaunted assistant that Nick Saban has ever had. And he has been the only SEC program to beat Alabama in a recruiting rankings battle, okay? They've had number one ranked classes. Going into this 2021 season, I would not be shocked to find out they are the two-time defending 24/7 composite team talent champions. Now, I'm the guy giving out championships for national rankings and for composite talent, but it's also to drive home the point that your talent has to overcome your coaching if you're Kirby Smart. And I don't need you to be brave in letting Todd Monken call the kind of offense that is modern, puts the ball through the air, and takes advantage of a vertical attack. I'm asking you to be smart. We give coaches way too much credit in this very conservative sport for being what we call brave, when really it's just a smart thing to do. An example of this is Kelly Bryant takes Clemson to the college football playoff. And Dabo Swinney responds the next year by saying the true freshman quarterback is going to be our guy. People poo-pooed it. People yelled about it. Kid's not ready. I don't care if he's a 5-star. I don't care if he's number one player in the country. And all ended up happening was Trevor Lawrence, as a true freshman, take Clemson to a national championship. Kelly Bryant, who opts out, red shirts, goes in the portal before the season ends up at Missouri, not playing for titles, not getting drafted highly. You have to do the smart thing for your football program. And the smart thing for your football program right now is to let Todd Monken do the job you hired him to do. Let him get the ball in James Cook's hands out in space. Let Zamir White be a battering ram, of course. But you better push that ball to Kyrios Jackson. You better push that ball to Demetrius Robertson. You better push that ball to Dominique Blaylock. And did I forget to add? Yes, I did. They still have George Pickens on the roster, which is to say that maybe he's not ready to go in September, on September 4th against Clemson. But by November, he might be, which means you will have your best weapon back on a team full of weapons. Georgia, it's up to you now, baby. It ought to be you and Oklahoma in the national championship this year. And if neither one of y'all makes it, it's your own doggone fault. But hey, Georgia started as the number one team in the 2020 composite talent last year. And what do they have to show for it? But a nail-biting win against a Cincinnati team that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee thought wasn't good enough to play for a playoff, even after running the regular season undefeated.